Yo, 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 yo. What is up, everybody? Happy Saturday, end of the week. I hope everybody's doing well out there in the internet world. Whether you're coming in from YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitch, you're here, and that's all that matters. Welcome to Slay Security Plus. Gonna hang out here for a little bit while people fill up chat, and then we'll get into some questions. How's everybody's week thus far? Hope everybody's doing well. Been a crazy week at work for myself. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Hopefully I'm coming over the internet nice and clear. Those UDP packets are making it to where they're supposed to go. I linked in chat Inside Cloud and Security. It's been one of the resources that I've been using quite extensively to prepare for these live streams. And I think it's a great place to maybe combine with your Professor Messer for some of that in-depth targeted study that we talk about. So link pinned in chat, check that out. And he also offers free slides, which are some of the best in the business, absolutely free. Happy Saturday from LinkedIn. Happy Saturday. I know there's a few of you coming in on LinkedIn. I've been starting to stream there as well, just to try and reach more people. Hello, Sri. Hello, everyone. We recently made a transition from Thursdays. We were doing Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time consistently for about a year. And then I got a job in the industry in cybersecurity as a specialist / analyst. And it has eliminated me from being able to go live at 5 p.m. because I have to work. And so we decided to move to Saturdays and Sundays, and we are here consistently on Saturdays unless something comes up. But we're here 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live study sessions, space tacos. What is going on? Welcome to the party. Today's beverage sponsor is Red Bull and water. How was everybody's weekend? What have you been up to? How's everybody's cybersecurity journey? How many of you are testing? When are you testing? Have you already tested and you're just here for the community? This is what your chat looks like today, Space Tacos. I got nothing. Oh, look, on my end, it didn't show anything. Love the hearts, fall hearts. It is fall time. That is my favorite season. I know it's cliche, but it is. It's wonderful. It cools down. Football starts. The food. I love fall food. I like fall fashion quite a bit. Okay, so for those of you that are going to tune on Team Replay, or if you're just getting here, welcome to Slay Security Plus. My name is Jesse J, aka The Cosmic Cowboy, and we spend the next hour or so helping you prepare for your Security Plus examination in a live and inclusive environment. And the way we do that is by going over practice questions, performance-based questions, right now we've been really in the CompTIA world, using their official question set. And one of the reasons I like to do it this way is so that if you're preparing for the exam, or really any CompTIA style exam, you can see the syntax, how the questions are worded, and the language that they use, so that when you go to take the test on exam day, it feels familiar to you. I have found that there is a lot of practice tests out there, and practice study guides, and other resources that they have great questions, as in it makes you think about cybersecurity, but they're not really worded the same way that CompTIA is going to word them. And that, in a lot of cases, is what may throw you off on test day, is how these questions are worded. And so I wanted to give everybody the opportunity to kind of get better at deciphering and reading those questions. Misty-eyed, welcome to the party. Waking up from your beauty sleep. That's what I like to hear. I should take a nap myself. Feeling it today. So I got the Red Bull, double Red Bulls, actually. Let's see, where are we in the exam? Well, first of all, let's go here, go here. Greets from St. Pete B-Sides wrap up. Nice. I need to get to a B-Sides. I'm saving it all up for Wild West Hackin' Fest here in a few weeks. Super excited to help Jerry from Simply Cyber. I'm going to help him run the table, give him a break, be his goose. He's going to maverick it up, and I'm going to be goose at the table. And then planning to go to the Simply CyberCon shortly after that in South Carolina. Take a break from con season, and then hopefully prepare and maybe make it out to DEF CON. Would love to go to Space Hack Con as well. There's a few cons I really want to get to. And so my boss said the other day, he said, man, if there's a convention you want to go to, let me know, and I will try and get you there, or we'll send some people. So that's pretty encouraging. We ran on coffee and water. I feel that. That's my daily method of fuel. $20 early bird or volunteer. You can't beat that. That's really inexpensive for a con. And typically those proceeds go to help, get more word out about the con, or to get, to help arrange and facilitate games, educators, give them a little bit of something. Any rate, let's get going. So over the last few weeks, we've managed to get through most of Domain 1, Domain 1.1. So if this was you studying, I would have a text, just open this up, a PDF reader. And then most PDF readers have some way to mark things up. So if I were you, I would be keeping track of the things that you're studying on your own. But for us, we've gone over those concepts. We've gone over the CIA triad, non-repudiation, really. Remember, that was talking about how you can't, it's the ability, non-repudiation is this, I don't know if I want to call it a framework, but really it's the way that we can prove that you did save something, that you did alter something, and so that you can't go back on your word in a digital environment and say, I didn't send that, I didn't save that, I didn't alter that. It's one of the fundamental concepts of cybersecurity, is this concept of non-repudiation. We talked about AAA, authenticating people, systems, and models. We went over gap analysis. We talked briefly, I believe it was last week, on zero trust. We may want to revisit that as we wrap up Domain 1. We have not gone over physical security yet, so I'm not going to mark those down, but we'll revisit that. I think that physical security is pretty straightforward, but as we all know, you can't have any security unless you have physical security. But we will revisit that when we wrap up Domain 1. Domain 1.3, we haven't gone over that yet, which we will. We're going to start today in Domain 1.4 talking about PKI. I think PKI is a pretty big concept, and I know that when people prepare, this is one of the areas of preparation and on the exam that seems to trip a lot of people up. So we're going to spend 2 weeks here in Domain 1.4. What is today's agenda going to look like today? We are going to go over practice questions first, and then next week we're going to go into some more teaching content. I want to see where everybody is on PKI, and then find those weak spots and really hammer them home, because PKI, I think, deserves a little bit of extra time, and deserves quite a bit to it. And that's where we're at. We're going to spend all of today in Domain 1.4 answering some questions. Let's go. So before we get started with today's questions, I want to thank you for tuning in and remind you that we are sponsored by Simply Cyber. So whether you're looking to level up in the community, level up in your within the industry, get into cybersecurity, or even take it to that next level, make sure you go see the kind folks at Simply Cyber. Let's pay some bills, and then let's get into some practice questions.
Are you feeling lost in the vast world of cybersecurity, overwhelmed by technical jargon and confusing career paths? You're not alone. That's why I built Simply Cyber. Hi, I'm Dr. Gerald Ozier. Come join Simply Cyber, your supportive and inclusive community for navigating the exciting world of cyber. There's so much to take advantage of. Master the skills you need with Simply Cyber Academy, offering in-depth courses aligned with the GRC analyst role. Never feel isolated. Connect with fellow cyber enthusiasts and professionals in our thriving Discord server. Ask questions, get feedback, share your journey. Check out the Simply Cyber YouTube channel, delivering insightful interviews. What are your thoughts around, web app pen testing as entry level? And I included bug bounty here because that's very accessible to everybody. Practical skill demos and daily cyber threat briefs, all hosted by industry experts. There's so much more to discover. Are you ready to join the community and empower your future? Visit simplycyber.io/socials for all the links and start your cyber adventure today.
Let's go. We're going to jump right into some questions. As I was saying, domain 1.4 or PKI as a concept. It's a really big concept, and you're always going to kind of be taking chunks off of it and getting used to it, especially when you start to implement PKI within your organization, as in you're now a professional, you've got your Sec Plus, or maybe you've got whatever certification, but you are actually implementing it. In fact, in my organization, we are looking at moving to a public certificate authority and doing some more legit certificate signing that way, which has been quite of an undertaking. I see Malware Cube in chat. What's going on, Malware Cube? What? I was just going over your course. Malware Cube has finished the SOC 101 course on TCM, an outstanding course. Actually, you could probably see it up here in the in my web browser. Oh no, the Slay Security is covering it. But over here on the left, I've been diving into this course. Super awesome, making my way through the email analysis. I work a ton, and so you've got to find time. So every night when I get up, I spend about 30 minutes to an hour going through my own coursework, because you got to get it in when you get it in. All right, let's move into some live questions. Oh yeah, going back. PKI is a really big concept, and I want to give it its the fair share of study that it needs. So we're going to spend 2 weeks in PKI. It stands for Public Key Infrastructure. Today, we're going to start off with the good old time and tested method of take the questions first. We're going to see where we're at as a community, and then we're going to come back next week with more of a lesson based on PKI and hammer home some of these concepts. All right, let's get ready to rumble. Let's do it. I'm going to ask the question. We're going to do a little bit of discourse, talk about the question, and then go ahead and throw the answer in chat. It's okay to be wrong, because we're all here to learn and have a good time. So it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to Google these questions too. If you're not sure and you want to, put the correct answer down, or just get to the answer maybe before we talk about it, feel free to Google or Chat GPT these. It's a great opportunity to practice your prompting as well. Misty-Eyed says screen's a little blurry to read. Interesting. Let me check that out. Yeah, that's weird. What is engineering? On your end, it's blurry. I'm on YouTube right now. It looks okay. Are you on your phone? That's pretty clear. I guess you can't. That's a pretty bad example. But on my end, YouTube is pretty crisp. That camera is crisp. Don't know what to tell you, Misty-Eyed. Feel free to reach out, and I can send you some of these questions on the flip side. Space Taco says, I can see the screen all right. ... Malware Cube says, looks good for me. Looks good to me too on my end. Let's rock with some of these questions. All right, question number 1. A cancer diagnostic clinic must transfer a large amount of data to a cloud vendor to migrate from its on-premises server. However, the amount of data would make the transfer over the internet take an extensive time due to the limited bandwidth, pipes are narrow, the clinic's internet provides. Instead, it wants to ship an encrypted copy of the data to the vendor. What type of encryption would best fit this clinic's needs? A cancer diagnostic must transfer large amounts of data to a cloud vendor, so over the wire in some capacity. So instead of just sending all of the different bits of data over the internet and due to bandwidth, I work in the medical field, and I'm telling you, some of these reports, these diagnostics, radiology, x-rays, we're talking petabytes of data that we work in, or that I work in. So some of our backup solutions are insanely large because of the size, the imaging, and some of the reports that doctors send. It's a ton of data. Well, what type of encryption would best fit this clinic's needs? Well, we know it needs to be encrypted one way or the other. Definitely not C plain text, because that wouldn't be encrypted at all, would it? I see A, and I see people see A or B. I see somebody said B in chat. Sri, hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. Please correct me if I'm not. Not C, that's correct. Well, cryptography is kind of the overarching concept we're talking about, but that's not what the question is asking, right? And this is a great question to start today off, because it's going to hammer home a point that I want you to hold on to and chew on as we revisit PKI when you go to take your test, and then when you're practicing as a professional. We need to be thinking like this, right? So it is a ton of data to migrate over. And when we talk about symmetric encryption or asymmetric encryption, remember that there's this process that symmetric, meaning the same, right? A square is symmetric. It's the same symmetry, the same on all sides. Well, symmetric encryption has to do with each party has the same key. Asymmetric encryption typically means that, well, it always means that there are two different keys, one to encrypt, one to decrypt, or one public key and one private key, right? Well, when you think about symmetric versus asymmetric encryption, and I'll let you out there in Slay Security land figure this part out, one of those two requires much more overhead to process, to decrypt and encrypt. That should answer it for you. So whenever you're trying to encrypt and send large amounts of data, greetings for Portugal. Hey, James McQuiggan at 35,000 feet. Good to see you. Now, CompTIA is saying ship an encrypted copy. That's kind of funny to me. What are they going to do? Put it in a safe? And then I'm going to have a key, send you with the key, and that's how you're going to do it? I believe they mean they would still want to send it over the wire. And how do they want to encrypt that? Let's go with symmetric encryption and see where we get. And there's going to be times that I'm wrong as the instructor, even though that I've taken my Sec Plus, I've done some hands-on courses, I work in the industry. Sometimes you're wrong, and it's okay to be wrong, because that is how you learn, right? Is to be wrong. I love being wrong, because then I learn something new. Boom! Symmetric algorithm is one where the same secret key performs encryption and decryption. Only authorized persons should know or have the secret key. An asymmetric algorithm performs both encryption and decryption, but with two different but related public and private keys in a key pair. Plain text infers that the data is not encrypted, and then cryptography is kind of what we're talking about. So that's not going to answer the question like we were saying, right? What CompTIA doesn't talk about in this answer specifically is this concept of how much information, and that there's just more overhead required in symmetric and asymmetric encryption. I know I said we're not going to teach a lot today and just go through some questions, but I just wanted to hammer home. This is from the Professor Messer note series. Here he talks about symmetric encryption versus asymmetric encryption. Very fast to use, less overhead than asymmetric encryption. So less overhead for the system. Sounds like what they were getting at with that question. Medri K, why use asymmetric? In the case of this question, the answer is actually symmetric. So same key to encrypt and decrypt. And the reason is because it requires less overhead on the system to do the encryption and the decryption. I don't know if you ever tried to encrypt a lot of data, or just a different kind of drives. I mean, it could take days. After deploying a mobile device management system to all of its computers, a company noticed a small subset failed to encrypt their hard drives. After inspection, those devices do not have the correct component required for the drive encryption to function. Which security component would the company need to install for the drive encryption to work? A CRL, or certificate revocation list. B, a CPU, or central processing unit. C, a TPM, or trusted platform module. Or D, RAM, or random access memory. Hey, Chuck, welcome to the party, pal. Hoping to get desk get in on this. Well, you are in. We are cooking on all cylinders. After deploying a mobile device management system to all its computers, a company noticed a small subset failed to encrypt their hard drives. After inspection, those devices do not have the correct component required for the drive encryption to function. Which security component would the company need to install for the drive encryption to work? Everybody in class is answering this. Hey, awesome, always AM. Good to see you. Welcome to the class. Hello, class. Well, let's go with a couple of just a few. We'll take off a couple that we know are incorrect. We know RAM has to do with random access memory, a key component of computing. And yes, you pronounced my name correct. Sweet. That's good, what I like to hear. And a certificate revocation list, that has to do with public key infrastructure and the way we manage certificates and whether they're valid or expired. This is asking us about encrypting a drive. And so I don't think it's A or D. So it's either going to be CPU or TPM. TPM being a trusted platform module. Midori K says doesn't know what A is. Ha ha ha. Mr. Kierstein, what is up? Good to see you. Looking forward to Wild West Hackin' Fest, Rumi. Let's answer this question and then we'll go into a little bit about what CRL is. 90% of class is saying TPM. I tend to agree. The trusted platform module chip holds the cryptographic secrets in hardware state to help secure encrypted hard drive. A CRL, a certificate authority or owner, can revoke or suspend a certificate for many reasons. A CRL or certificate revocation list is a list of no longer valid certificates. And if you're wondering, well, what does it even mean by certificates? Over here in the web browser, which usually you can see it, I'm surprised. I guess let's see. On the top of your web browser, there's probably a lock of some kind, right? It's letting you know that the connection is secure. If you click on that, you can get some more information. All right. Well, now we can look and we can see this certificate that CompTIA.org is using to verify that they're legit. They're using TLS of some kind, right? We want to make sure that this is all being encrypted over the internet. And how does it do that? Well, it uses a certificate authority. It registers with a certificate authority. In this case, we see that the certificate authority they're registering with is Cloudflare up here. What is the website's identity? learn.comptia.org. Owner, the website does not supply ownership information. That's okay. Technical details. Connection encrypted. It's using TLS AES 128, GCM SHA 256, 128-bit keys, using TLS 1.3 or Transport Layer Security version 1.3. The page you are viewing was encrypted before being transmitted over the internet. Encryption makes it difficult for unauthorized people to view this information traveling between computers. It is therefore unlikely that anyone read this page as it traversed across the network. Cool, well, I want to know more about these certificates. And you can do this in your web browser right now. Here we go. Talks a little bit about the public key. Learn CompTIA.org. Here's the state that it is. The organization that is issuing it, the certificate authority they're using is Cloudflare. Validity, not before the 20th of December of 2023. And their certificate for this specific website or this part of the website expires on December 2024. We'll talk more about the subject alt names, but this here is a wild card, this asterisk here up here. That means that certificate is valid on anything that learn.comptia.org has also registered. So this is a wildcard certificate. Here's our public key information. Looks like we're using an elliptic curve encryption. 256. Here's our public value. Some fingerprint, some more information on the certificate, but that is just a little bit about. Oh look, CRL. There's a great point. Another point. Let's see where that takes us. There is a CRL, Midori K. Question about certs. Do they automatically renew after expiring, or is it code? It depends on how you have your certificate set up. Sometimes, like if it's an internal certificate, they do have expirations and you need to stay on top of that. I believe you can have those automated to renew. You can probably pay ahead of time and have those renewed. I know at least with an internal certificate, if you have an internal certificate authority doing self-signing certificates, if you don't go back and renew them, they will expire. And then you have to take care of that and get a new one issued. What is the process used to encrypt and decrypt a message? A, cryptanalysis, B, plain text, C, ciphertext, or D, algorithm? Let's ask chat. Let's get a good answer. Do they automatically? Hopefully this helps with that question. The LinkedIn user asked a question about certs. Do they automatically renew after expiring? In a public key infrastructure, certificates do not automatically renew by default. The owner or administrator needs to manually renew or configure an automatic renewal process. So kind of like I was saying, right? You typically need to go manually renew those certificates, or there is going to be probably an automatic renewal process of some kind that you can configure. The steps depend on how the PKI system is configured and what certificate authority is being used. Malware Cube says, usually you can auto-renew with a certificate authority similar to a domain registration, but you still need a way to update the web server configuration with the new certificate file. source. I had to do this and it's a pain. That's awesome. What is the process used to decrypt and encrypt a message? A, cryptanalysis, B, plain text, C, ciphertext, or D, algorithm? I see a few different answers. I see D, C, and D. Sri says A with cryptanalysis. I see D, algorithm. So the process, this is kind of, I think, a interesting question to ask. I don't call it a trick question, but the answers could be kind of confusing, right? Because they all relate to this encrypt and decrypt process. Think of it this way. I have a message. Let's take this right here. What is the process used? So I want to encrypt this message, this question. We'll pretend this question is our message, and we want to encrypt it. Well, to encrypt it, I'm going to take an algorithm to combine with this plain text, and out of that, we're going to get what's called ciphertext. Ciphertext is the result of combining plain text with an algorithm, gives you ciphertext. Plain text would be just how it is, human readable. We take that, we smash it with some prime numbers and an algorithm of some kind, and out of that, we get ciphertext. But the overall process used to encrypt and decrypt a message. Let's see, what do we got here? I see a lot of C and D. Maybe A, cryptanalysis. You know it's not plain text. I believe the answer to be A, cryptanalysis, this overall process of encrypting and decrypting a message. Most of you in class are saying C or D, so let's use this as an awesome opportunity to learn something. Either we're going to be right with A, or we're going to learn something by selecting a different one. And let's see, 1, 2. C. I see a lot more C's than D's. D. Here, flip the coin, flip a guitar pick. No turtle. I got this green turtle 88 guitar pick. Turtle is C. No turtle is D. We got a turtle. Ooh, I would have been wrong. All of you that selected D, you are absolutely correct. An algorithm refers to the operations that transform plain text into ciphertext with cryptographic properties, also called a cipher. There are symmetric, asymmetric, and hash cipher types of algorithms. Oh, cryptanalysis is the art of cracking encoded information. Cryptanalysis aims for an attacker to find information that others are attempting to hide. Plain text obviously refers to the data that is not encrypted. And ciphertext refers to data that went through an encryption algorithm. Creating ciphertext makes it less likely for third parties to intercept and read. Okay. Can I flag that one? I cannot. We'll have to go back to that. What is the process used to encrypt and decrypt a message? An algorithm. Ooh, I would have gotten that one wrong on test day. Oh well, that's how you learn. Moving on. A security engineer investigates the impact of a recent breach in which a threat actor was able to exfiltrate company data. What cryptographic solution serves as a countermeasure that mitigates the impact of hash table attacks by adding a random value to each plain text input? A, trusted platform module. B, SALT. C, internet protocol security. Or D, plain text. This one reminds me of food. And I love food because it makes me a nice dude. And then when I have hash and there's pepper, I like to have something else with it to give it a little flavor, to add a little randomness to it, maybe. I should probably move over to the YouTube stream to join chat. No, you're here in chat, loud and clear. We got you. Coming in from Twitch. All right, you guys are slaying this one, class. Everybody knows you add salt to a hash to help mitigate in dictionary attacks or hash table attacks by adding a random value to each plain text input. Ooh, I like that. Here's a way to remember it if you're studying for your test. Another way to remember it is that adding this to your hash will make the attackers salty, right? It makes them grumpy because they can't, it's harder for a dictionary attack. Chuck makes a good point. Never a bad thing to salt your own passwords, even if you use a password manager. Here's a example, a real life example, or at least a Professor Messer example. We see the password dragon comes out to this hash. Well, if we put the word dragon with these random characters, it gives you this hash, right? So just a way to think of it. Salting the hash. Each user gets a different random hash. The same password creates a different hash. And you'll see this question come up quite a bit. Something around hashing. We start to remember, keep in mind that hashing is a one-way process. You can't decrypt a hash, right? You can match it up in a dictionary with what that hash may relate to, but you can't decrypt. There's no way to decrypt something that has been hashed. A large certificate issuing company lost its reputation due to poor business practices. Its higher signing authority revoked the ability to issue new certificates, and browsers now show it as invalid. What describes the position of the company that the company once had but has now lost? A, root certificate authority. B, certificate signing request. C, certificate authority. Or D, certification or certificate revocation list. A large certificate issuing company, Cloudflare, let's just say that. Not literally, I'm just using that in my head to build a mental image. Cloudflare has lost its reputation due to poor business practices. Its higher signing authority revoked the ability to issue new certificates. What describes the position that the company once had but has now lost? Chillin' Spree, welcome to the party. You're a new face. CompTIA has this question on their thing here, rated as difficult. I don't think it's B or C, or I'm sorry, I don't think it's B or D. I am with all of you in chat. I think I'm torn between A and C. Joshua Colson, welcome back to the party. It's good to have you. Ashiana, good to see you. Malware Cube. This actually happened to a company called DigiNoter. Ooh, we'll have to do a little research on that. Space Tacos, it's the twist in the last line that makes it difficult to me. I vote C, fingers crossed. Send it. Ashiana, hi, I'm not late to the party today. Yay! No, you're not. You're doing great. Steve McMichael, CPA to cybersecurity, says C. I'm seeing a lot of C. What do we think, class? C, C, C. Joshua Colson says, initially I thought they were describing the company receiving the certificate. Yeah, you have to read this one a couple times. The large issuing company, Cert issuing company, lost its reputation. Its higher signing authority, so that we know there's something above this, has revoked the ability for our company here, my FIS, to issue new certificates. And browsers now show it as invalid. What describes the position that the company once had but now lost? I'm going to go with C as well. I think that is going to be our correct answer. Because wouldn't the root certificate authority be the one above it that now said it cannot? Let's go. Let's go. Space Tacos, welcome everyone. Glad you could join us today. I agree. We're seeing some new faces. This is awesome. A certificate authority is a server that guarantees subject identities by issuing signed digital certificate wrappers for their public keys. The root of trust model defines on how users and different CAs can trust one another. Each CA issues itself a certificate known as a root certificate. The root certificate is self-signed, meaning the CA server signs a certificate to itself. Cool. That computes. I think what they're saying basically at the end of the day, this company, we'll use DigiNotar as the example. DigiNotar is a certificate authority. They lost business, and basically, from what I understand, the root certificate authority says you can no longer be a CA. And so therefore, the certificates that it signs are now registered as invalid because we can't trust them. Nick Barker, what's up, you beautiful man? Good to see you. Hopefully I'm going to see you in Deadwood. You coming out? Larry Shervington Jr., hey, party people, Sec Plus on a beautiful day. It is a beautiful Saturday here, 87 degrees, sunny. Let's move along. A security consultant is working with a client to improve security practices. How can the consultant describe cryptographic hashing so the client is more likely to accept recommendations? This happens to me all the time when talking with my stakeholders, with my bosses on why we should or shouldn't do something. You have to word it sometimes in a way that relates to them so they find the value in it and they'll invest in whatever it is you're trying to do. A, hashing speeds up the encryption process. B, hashing slows down the encryption process. C, hashing produces a fixed length string of bits, a hash, from an input plaintext that can be of any length. D, hashing allows the same length of plaintext to be different lengths of ciphertext. This is a good question. A security consultant is working with a client to improve security practices. How can the consultant describe cryptographic hashing so the client is more likely to accept recommendations? Nick Barker, I wish I just canceled everything in all caps. My time off request was denied. Too many senior teammates out with that week. It's been heartbreaking. No. Come out to South Carolina for Simply CyberCon then. I know Jerry would love to see you. Regardless of input size, the output is fixed length. That's something that is key to remember in this answer here. Maybe. Well, we know it doesn't slow down the encryption process necessarily. We don't know if it speeds up the encryption process. So it's going to be between these two answers, either C or D. Hashing produces a fixed length stream of bits from an input plaintext that can be of any length. So if I take the words dragon, then I hash that word, it's going to give me a hash. If I take an entire 600-page paper and hash it, it's also going to give me a hash of a fixed length. Let's send it on C and see what happens. Correct, class. Hashing encrypted data makes it much more difficult to break. Hashing takes any length string and makes it the same length. A hashing algorithm is also useful for proving integrity. That's another concept that they're going to hammer home, and you're going to see this in other areas of cybersecurity, is this word integrity and hashing. And the reason we see them together so often is because once you hash a file, let's say I go to, I don't know, Kali.org. Should come up right away. And I want to download Kali. So let's say we're going to download this, install our image. Well, it'll show us here. We can see that on Kali's end, they have the ISO file, right? And here we go. Here is our SHA-256 sum of that entire file that in its hashed form. Okay. Then when I download the file, I can see by running the same algorithm of what that file is, get file hash of whatever the file is, right? It's PowerShell get file hash. It should show me the same exact hash as right here that's on Kali's website. And the reason that we see the word integrity here, proving integrity, is that let's say I download that from Kali. There's somebody in the middle. They tamper with that file, maybe add a little bit of malware, and then I get it. I pause before I'm a good person. I'm a good cyber guy. And I pause before finishing and installing this ISO, and I go, I'm not sure. Let's see if that hash is the exact same as the one that is on Kali's website. If those hashes are the same, then we know that their integrity has not been changed. The file is the same as it was before, and it is now. So that's why we always see integrity and hashing oftentimes associated with each other. It's a great point. A hash is a fingerprint. That's a great way to look at it. A hash is a fingerprint of a file. Any change to the input, whether you're taking a comma to a period, it doesn't matter. No matter how small the change is, will change the hash or the fingerprint. Joshua Colson says on that last one, D makes it sound like it has nothing to do with the length of the input and not makes it with the length of the input and not what the input is. Yep. Hashing allows the same length of plain text to be a different length of ciphertext. I can see that. Yep. But the key thing to remember here is that hashing produces a fixed length string of hash of bits from an input of plain text that can be of any length, which could help convince your client that it can be really useful for them. A small company needs to ensure it protects SQL data against theft while in use. What type of encryption would best fit its needs? A, database level encryption, B, full disk encryption, C, using a cloud provider, or D, using a security guard. Wow. A company needs to ensure it protects the SQL data or structured query language against theft while in use. What type of encryption would best fit its needs? A, database encryption, B, full disk encryption, C, using a cloud provider, or D, a security guard. I think we can take off C and D. Those don't sound relevant. They stand out to me as answers that do not fit this question. I know, Space Tacos, D, seriously. And I go on this tangent a lot when we're talking about these Security Plus questions, but we see how it says best. If you notice, not all the questions had the word best or most, right? Which is most likely. Here we see what type of encryption would best fit its needs. Whenever you see best or most as you're preparing for your exams, that is a key indicator that this is a question that CompTIA will likely give you partial credit on. And what I mean by that is that there are probably two answers here, that one is okay and one is much better or best. And so that's why I keep hammering the point home that answer the question to the best of your abilities, because you never know when you might get one of those better answers and not the best answer and get partial credit for the question. Yeah, so you guys are all nailing it. I also believe the answer to be A, database level encryption, right? So what happens is I'm a small company and I store all of my users, and let's say, I don't know, a user in an email, Jesse Johnson and his email. I store that in a SQL database. And so that's something that the question leaves out, is this information is stored in a database called a SQL database. And in these databases, it uses on the back end SQL language or structured query language to retrieve that data. And you've seen this in really common hacking tutorials, SQL injection, right? You put in the input field of your favorite website, you put in a bogus answer, and then you might say select wildcard, right? Select any information, from users where passwords equal whatever. And there's different languages and different inputs, but at the end of the day, you're trying to pass through that SQL statement through to the database, because that's where it's being stored, and getting that information back to you. Now, we're talking more input validation to protect against that, but that is what a SQL database is. So I think this question is they're trying to ask us database level encryption and not full disk encryption. Josh Colson says, when SQL data is in use, is it still on the database server? In use is the key term here. Evan says, Josh, it depends on how the data is being used. That's a great question. When the SQL data is in use, is it still on the database server? I mean, it's always going to be on the database server, but when it's in use, that's a great question. Somebody chat GPT that, or answer it if you have more experience with SQL databases. Malware Cube, if you have more experience with SQL database, let us know. When SQL data is in use, is it still on the database server? It always is on the database server, even if I take it off. Database or page level encryption and decryption occur when data transfers between disk and memory. Database level encryption is the best option for the small company to protect its structured query language data. Full disk encryption, on the other hand, refers to a product that encrypts the whole contents of a storage device, including metadata areas not normally accessible using ordinary operating system file explorer tools. Using a cloud provider prevents the benefit of offloading the risk to another entity, but it does not necessarily prevent data theft. And a security guard would protect the company from physical access to threat actors, but it would not prevent access digitally. You could have the application on other servers pulling the data to work with it, so that the data would remain on the database server, but could be temporarily present on the processing app server. So when the SQL data is in use, is it still on the database server? It is still on the server and it's being used. So let's say for, I don't know, We go to a website, and the front end, the client side of the website, its information is stored on the back end in a SQL database. When I need to get information to my friendly website here, I punch in something, whether it's a name in an email. That information then probably does some kind of either an API call, or it does another type of communication to that database server to bring that information to the front end. So that would be data going from the back end to the front end application side. And that data is still, while in use, it is also still on the database server. A certificate authority has had its issuing authority revoked. And its certificates revoked. Oh, and its certificates expired. How might those certificates still appear valid, even though they should be on the CRL or certificate revocation list? A, the company was a root CA. B, the company blocked companies from adding it to the CRL. C, the company did not implement a CRL. Or D, the CRL still requires updating. Josh Colson, that also makes sense because if you had multiple users querying that same data, it's not like it's checked out and unavailable, LOLs. Yes, correct. It's not like a library where you're like, nope, we're sorry, sir. That email, that information that your website is requesting is no longer available. Somebody else is using it right now. Of all of the areas of Sec Plus, I think cybersecurity from a nitty-gritty level, like on Blue Team or just kind of general cybersecurity stuff, PKI is also the roughest for me. Only because we use it in bits and pieces every day. And if it's not your specialty, you're not going to fully understand it. And so I'm learning a ton with you all here today. Seeing a lot of D in class. I'm seeing a lot of the answer D in class. Sorry to be very specific with my words sometimes. My mom texted me. I need to text her back. Hi, Mom. Take your time. I'm on a live stream right now, Mom. A certificate authority has had its issuing authority revoked and its certificates expired. How might those certificates still appear valid, even though they should be on a CRL? I don't believe it to be A or B. So the process of eliminate those. DJ BSEC, when are you going to join us on a Saturday stream, brother? We miss you. We miss you and Casually Joseph. I'm loving rocking it solo, but man, we miss having the interaction. Mom Meatloaf. Mom, comma, Meatloaf. Or is it Mom Meatloaf? I thought you'd get a kick out of that, Nick Barker. Yeah, the company did not implement a CRL. I'm going with D. I like D. The CRL still requires updating. Let's send it, team. Let's send that D. Boom! Correct. When an entity revokes a certificate, they add it to the CRL. However, it requires a browser to check the list for certificate authorities to provide the list. If this does not happen, an invalid certificate may still work. Cool. Let's look over some of the answers that we thought may have been correct, like C. If a company does not implement a CRL, a browser would a browser and certificate authority would implement the CRL. Boom. The FedEx channel, welcome. Saturdays and Sundays are for football. I agree with you 1000%. I love football as much as the next person. You all know that. But man, come on, you can join us for an hour, bro. Like, what's your favorite team? Let me guess. Are you Texas Tech, Texas A&M? One of those lame teams? I'm sending it today, BSEC. A security engineer noticed a high volume of images sent from the company's networks to a popular gaming social media platform. After reviewing the images, the security engineer saw that the images were seemingly benign or harmless. Why might these images still be a threat? A, they contain plain text. B, they contain ciphertext. C, they contain steganography. Or D, they contain phishing. Sri says C. Ashiana is saying C as well. Steganography. Joshua Colson, C. LinkedIn user, C. C. Spiky dinosaurs. I know I can't help but think of Stegosaurus Rex. Or Stegosaurus Rex. Wow. Stegosaurus. I read a dinosaur book to my daughter today. She knows how to pronounce those words, some of those dinosaurs. She's like, where's the, whatever. And I'm over here like, she's like, where's the Pachycephalosaurus? I'm like, uh-huh. Yeah, I vote C, right? We know this from Hack the Box, taking some hacking classes. We know that steganography of this art of hiding other bits of information within an image. The process of that is called steganography. Steganography embeds information within an unexpected source, such as a message hidden in a picture. Cover text describes the container, document, or file that it resides in. Plain text refers to data that is not encrypted. An attacker could easily intercept this data, like a pass, that is in ciphertext, is in plain text form. Ciphertext refers to data that went through an encryption algorithm and is less likely for third parties to intercept and read. And B, phishing is a combination of social engineering and spoofing. It persuades or tricks a target into interacting with a malicious resource disguised as a trusted one. I think next week, when we go through our lesson on PKI, we're going to use the Professor Messer questions and use our voting system, because I think Professor Messer does a slightly better job of explaining why the answers are incorrect. Can I get a hallelujah in the house of the Lord today? Why might a company want a longer key length? A, to improve the performance of the algorithm. B, to slow down the algorithm. B, to slow down the initial encryption. C, to increase the chances of ciphertext cracking. D, to decrease the chances of the ciphertext cracking. FedEx channel says, I got my time wrong. I was thinking 4 Central Time. No, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's the time we're trying right now. I feel like that's that perfect midday. Hope maybe kids are napping. Everybody's taking a study break on a Saturday. Hopefully that time works for everybody else. I enjoy it. Why might a company want a longer key length? Well, it's probably not because we want to increase the chances of it getting cracked. So we can scratch that one off. Well, that's dumb. BSEC says, I have not been coming on because these times have been all over the place. You're right, man. And I'm sorry. We'll get there. Yeah, D, right? We want a longer key length because we want to decrease the chances of hackers being able to crack that. Moving on, a recent security flaw allowed a malicious actor to access sensitive data even though the data never left the server and there is full drive encryption. What data state did the malicious actor most likely compromise? A, in transit, B, at rest, C, in use, or D, through Bluetooth? Oh, A, B, and C all pop up as answers. A recent security flaw allowed a malicious actor to access sensitive data even though the data never left the server and there is full drive encryption. What data state did the malicious actor most likely compromise? In transit, at rest, in use, or through Bluetooth? What are they asking us? Most likely. Yeah, I had to read that a couple times. Okay, so difficult level is expert. Allowed a malicious actor to access sensitive data even though the data never left the server and there is full drive encryption. Which data state did the malicious actor most likely compromise? I think the key word is a security flaw, because there's a flaw that allowed this to happen. And even though the data never left the server, so if it never left the server, then it's not going over the wire. So we can scratch off in transit because it never left, right? Well, not through Bluetooth. Answer is J for Jesse. So it's either compromised, at rest, or in use. FedEx, I tend to agree with you that it's still at rest. That is, they're telling us that the data never left the server and is in full drive encryption. So the data is at rest. And the security flaw is what allowed hackers to access the data at rest. Who's ready for WWHF? I am. I'm getting stoked. I'll be working most of it, hanging out with Jerry and y'all, but I'm stoked. Oh, I see a lot of C. Okay, I'm going to go with the class on this one, and you all think C. For the record, I think B, and the reason I think B is due to the fact that the question is saying that the malicious actors were able to access the data because of a flaw, and they're telling us that the data is at rest. They're telling us that it never left the server, meaning it never went over the wire, and there's full disk encryption. I'll be making Mississippi pot roast for dinner one of the nights at Wild West Hackin' Fest. You should come over for dinner. You should come over. Come over to our place. Evan, isn't our B&B just a couple minutes from the event? Danielle Krink says she thinks it's B as well. Everybody in class has said C, though, on this one. Almost everyone in class is saying C. And now there's a lot of B as well. B or C? B or C? What do we go with? A security flaw allowed a malicious actor to... I'm just enjoying chat right now. We're talking about Wild West Hacking Fest, eating food. At Captain Skills is right. What did Captain Skills say? Full disk encryption can only be used for data at rest. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well, is that the security flaw is what is the issue here. And because of this security flaw, we can access sensitive data while it's at rest. The question is which data state did the malicious actor most likely compromise? Well, the question is almost answering itself here. I'm going to go with B, at rest. I give up. I don't give up. Never give up. Correct answer, data in use, C. So for all of you that thought C, you are correct. Data in use refers to a state in which data is present in volatile memory, such as RAM, or in the CPU registers. The security flaw allows for data exploitation while in use. Data in transit is the state in which data transmits over the network. In the scenario, the data never left the server. Data at rest refers to the state where data is in some persistent storage media. In this scenario, there is hard drive encryption. Bluetooth would involve data in transit and would not relate to the exposure of data in use. All right, team. You're right. Boom. Data was... Yep, that makes sense. I see. Okay. Jesse, am I going to Simply CyberCon? That's the plan. It'll be probably flying in the day of, or late the day before. You need to talk to Joseph or Justin about a place to stay, or Jerry. Or I guess I can get a hotel. That would be expensive. A coffee chain has hired a marketing firm to set up a website that allows signups. However, after running a test on the website, an error message in the browser stated the connection was insecure. What framework should the marketing firm use to ensure that this error message does not show up? A, public key infrastructure, B, certificate authority, C, cryptanalysis, or D, typo squatting. Not D, I agree. What am I doing here? Amateur hour. BSEC, hit me up on Discord or text me. A coffee chain is hired on Microsoft. So they've set up a website, but then when I go to the website, we've all gone to those websites, it gives you a warning that says that the connection is not secure. What framework should the marketing firm use to ensure that this error message does not show up? A, public key infrastructure, B, certificate authority, C, cryptanalysis. Everybody in class is saying A. I think that is a straightforward and kind of scream at you answer, because we want them to get a certificate from a certificate authority. But certificate authority is part of the overall framework, and this question is asking us about the framework, which is public key infrastructure. If we get this one wrong, I'll be surprised on this one. Because now everyone, BSEC, you think B? Are you even paying attention? What framework? Is a certificate authority a framework? I thought that was an entity. And wouldn't PKI be the framework? FedEx channel, gotta go. See you guys later. And on repeat, see you FedEx. I gotta go here soon too. Kiddos are waking up for the nap because it's a little after 2. Gotta rock, gotta roll. Probably gonna watch Moana for the 3rd time to date this week. Not today. I've been standing at the edge of the water. Let's send it. Let's send it. You can't tell if BSEC is trolling. BSEC is always doing a combination of being dead serious and trolling all at the same time. I see a half amount of B and half amount of A. I'm going to go with A because I learned PKI is a framework and certificate authority is an entity. Entity or a body. Boom, correct. Public key infrastructure refers to a framework of certificate authorities, digital certificates, software, services, and other cryptographic components deployed to validate subject identities. Incorrect. B, a certificate authority is a server that guarantees subject identities, by issuing signed digital certificate wrappers for their public keys. Cryptanalysis is the art of cracking encoded information. For example, attackers use cryptanalysis to find information that others are attempting to hide. And then remember, we know what typo squatting is. Midori K says that they think of PKI as email, but that's probably you. Well, that's because email does incorporate PKI, especially for using any kind of encrypted messages. So you're not completely wrong. Ashiana, don't beat yourself up. I know. I got a couple wrong going against the class. So I'm learning today quite a bit. A small development company just set up a web server and wants to and must secure a, let's reread that. Wow. A small development company just set up a web server and must ensure a secure customer connection. Regarding digital certificates, what is a file containing information that the subject wants to use in the certificate, including its public key? A, certificate authority. B, CSR, which I believe is certificate signing request. D, CRL, or certificate revocation list. Or D, PKI. Midori K says, week and a half to go for test. Let's go. Do you have the Professor Messer practice tests? Let me know if you do, and that's great. If you don't, I want to buy you some of those just as a way to say thank you for showing up. It's kind of a random treat. Midori, hit me up on LinkedIn. Find us on Discord and let us know. If you have them, great. And if you don't, Silly Security Plus Foundation wants to get those to you. We know that the certificate authority is going to be the server and the entity that says the certificate, signs off on it, says it's valid. So we know we don't think that's it. What is the file containing the information that the subject wants to use in the certificate, including its public key? Well, we know the certificate revocation list is this list of revoked certificates. And we know that PKI is the framework overall. I agree with the team. Oh, you're already testing in the high 80s, low 90s. You're good to go. I agree with the team and with BSEC. Certificate signing request. Yeah, Midori K, if you're getting high A's and low 90s in the practice tests and you have a week and a half to go, you're going to be solid. Sri says, same for me, testing 2 weeks from now. Reach out to me on LinkedIn if you need any additional study materials. You're 2 weeks out, so you probably have everything you need, but if there's something that we can help you with, please feel free to reach out and we'll get those to you. Okay, team, it's about 3:30. This is going to be the second to last question of today's study session. It's time to jump into family mode. Throw on, maybe watch some Moana or something with my daughters and hang out. A coffee chain hired a marketing firm to set up a website that allows signups. However, after testing the whoa, wait a minute. Oh, sorry, I had to reread that because it looked a lot like a question we just had. A coffee chain hired a marketing firm to set up a website that allows signups. However, after testing the website, an error message in the browser stated that the connection was insecure. What should the marketing firm purchase and set up so that the page shows that it is secure? A digital certificate or a digital certificate. B, a certificate authority or a CA. C, crypto analysis. Or D, certificate signing request or a CRL. Josh Colson has a concern that I had as well. Oh, that's Space Tacos' comment, but also awesome. There are so many acronyms on the exam objectives. There are a ton of exam objectives, or I'm sorry, a ton of acronyms, but something to take in mind is that you're really only going to be, they're going to only throw a handful of them at you on test day. I know there's a ton of acronyms. As we're doing these practice tests, feel free to go through the other Slay Sec Plus episodes, put them on 3x speed, and you'll start to see that you only see the same few show up over and over again. And so we haven't gotten all the way through the objectives, but you are going to notice this pattern that there's only a handful that are really needed for the exam. And if you don't know some of the acronyms, in many cases, the rest, there might be another question on the test that actually spells it out for you, or it's just going to click. You're going to go, oh, okay. I've been going through and jotting down the ones that I don't know and trying to familiarize myself with them. Yeah, that's a great idea, but that works, and whatever works for you. But you are going to find, Joshua, that there's only, I don't know about a particular number, but they really only test you on a few of them that you see over and over again. What should the marketing firm purchase and set up so the page shows that it's secure? A, a digital certificate. B, a certificate authority. D, crypto analysis. Or D, certificate signing request. Man, this coffee chain's got big bucks. They're hiring in a down economy. I miss you, BSEC. I would love to knock out my CISP Q4. Did you end up getting the book? You said you were going to, like 6 months ago. I don't know if you still did. Midori K makes a great point. Keep practicing, keep drilling the areas you're missing, and you'll get there. That's the key thing, is find those deficits in your studying, find those deficits in your knowledge base, using the 701 objectives, marking off, like putting marks on the things that you're really confident in, and then really taking time to understand the areas that you're missing and really targeting to study those areas of deficit. A digital certificate. or B, a certificate authority? We know it's not a CRL or a CSR because that's going to go into the request. We know that cryptanalysis is the process of breaking encryption or cracking it. So we know that it is either A or B. I'm torn on this one because don't you purchase a certificate from a certificate authority? Thanks, buddy. What do we think, team? Class, it's okay to get the answer wrong. I'm about to, Midori K says A, digital certificate. PRB said, how can one get this practice test? This specific practice test is from the CompTIA Cert Master Learn. It's roughly $550 because it has the labs and all that stuff. I did some contract work for somebody in our community, and instead of paying me cash money, I had them purchase this for Slay Security Plus because, well, I mean, I could have purchased it with the cash, but I said, instead of paying me, let's get this for the community. And so I bought this this was purchased for me from CompTIA. And it's like $500. And so I thought, well, if I can use it on our live study sessions for those that can't afford it, at least you get an idea of how CompTIA words things, get an idea of the PBQs, what they look like. All right, we're gonna go A and send it. Let's go. A digital certificate is a wrapper for the public's key. It contains information about the subject and the certificate's issuer. The certificate is digitally signed to prove that it came from a particular certificate authority. A certificate authority is a server that guarantees subject identities by issuing signed digital certificate wrappers for their public keys. Let's go. All right, and the final question for today's Slay Security Plus. An indie game developer created a browser based on the Chromium project. An indie game developer created a browser based, I think they wanted to put the word game there somewhere. An indie game developer created a browser based game on the Chromium project. The developer must ensure that anyone using the browser is safe from invalid certificates. What should the developer use to ensure the browser blocks revoked certificates? A, CRL, B, certificate authority, C, CSR or certificate signing request, or D, PKI, public key infrastructure. Chillin' Spree says your PBQ videos are extremely helpful. Thank you. That's awesome to hear. We'll keep doing more of them. This is a great example of how a CompTIA question from time to time, the answers, the question almost answer itself. What should the developer use to ensure that the browser blocks revoked certificates? Well, there's only one thing in these answers that has to do with revoked certificates, and that's the CRL. Remember, certificate revocation list. I agree with class. The answer is A. Let's send it. Let's go. A certificate authority owner can revoke or suspend a certificate for many reasons. A CRL, or certificate revocation list, is a list of no longer valid certificates. Remember, the CA is the server that by issuing signed digital certificate wrappers for their public keys. A CSR is that signing request in which a subject must complete this request and submit it to the CA to get a certificate. Hey, Pops, I want to get a certificate of authority. I want to get a certificate. Well, let me see your request. Here we go, Pops. Here's the request. This is my website. This is my name. And here's my public key. Awesome. Okay. Here's your digital certificate. Issued. Christopher Young says, yes, slaying Security Plus. That's right. All right, let's do one more. It's too much fun. One more question. What best describes text that is not encrypted? A, plain text, B, ciphertext, C, algorithm, or D, cryptanalysis? All right, pretty straightforward. What best describes text that's not encrypted? So we have a message, it's human readable. It has not been encrypted with an algorithm of any kind. Remember, ciphertext is the product of unencrypted text. Don't doubt yourself, Midori K. What do you think? I think this one's pretty straightforward. This is going to be one of those questions. And again, remember the CompTIA Security Plus exam, you're going to have some questions you're going to be able to nail right out the gate. Some are going to be in that medium category, and then some questions CompTIA is going to test you on are going to be hard. They have a whole grading algorithm that we don't know about, regarding how they get their test scores from that percentage of medium, hard, and easy questions. But just know that some of these you can't overthink. CompTIA will really give you some that are straightforward like this. Ashiana says, yeah, we got an easy one for the last. Yeah, let's rock it out on a high note. I'm going to go with A, plain text. Survey says, bing! Plain text refers to data that is not encrypted. An attacker can easily intercept that data in its plain text form. We did awesome. We got a few questions left, and we'll hammer these out next week. I think Saturday I might need to watch the kiddos for a wedding, which will put us on Sunday. But we are broadcasting every weekend. So I will update the socials and the graphics and everything for next weekend. But the new time, the new place is Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Providing something doesn't come up with the family. Outside of that, we are Saturdays, 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You can catch us on SlaySec Plus. Check us out on LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn. Find everybody here you see in chat. Connect with them. You hear Jerry say it over and over again about the importance of networking. I'm out of here. I'm going to go eat some food, hang out, watch some college ball, if I can get the TV for a minute. I hope you have an excellent September weekend. I want to thank you truly from the bottom of my heart by taking time to study, bringing some humor to chat, engaging with each other. This is where it's at. This is how we get better as professionals and how we get better as test takers. If you need some resources, you're having a hard time get them because times are tough for whatever reason, please reach out to us. We have the Slay Security Plus Foundation, which has put away some fundage to help buy you the security resource or the Security Plus study resources so we can get them for you. I see the thank yous pouring in chat. It means a ton. Shri, thank you for being here. I see some new faces. LinkedIn user, thank you. This was helpful. Midori K, thanks for the live training. Joshua Colson, it's good to see you in the Simply Cyber community. Thanks, Jesse from Space Tacos, good dear friend of mine. Alan Troll, you're welcome. Ashiana, Ismail, you're welcome so much. So much goodness here. This is awesome. Chill and Spree. Thanks for the comments on the PBQs. I really appreciate the feedback. We'll probably do more of those. Maybe not next week, because we're going to stay in PKI. We might even do 3 weeks of PKI not just for the test, but really for your benefit. I found that is one of the areas in the objectives that a lot of people struggle with is the PKI part. Then after that, we can move into threat actors, threats, vulnerabilities, and mitigations, which will be fun. Jim Lund, thank you for the session on Saturdays. We move into those weekends. All right, team. I am Jesse J.